Welcome to Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the meaning and the power of the most important story in business. The one that answers why someone should buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you. This is the story that defines the very character and nature of an organization. At WordWrite, we call it your capital S story. In each episode of Storylines Live, we feature guests who have great insights on business storytelling, who can share their experiences and their key learnings to help you and your organization do a better job of sharing your capital S story to deliver remarkable business results. Today, we're honored to have a great storyteller with us, Sara Lohse of Favorite Daughter Media. Now, I love that. That is a great name for a company. We're definitely going to talk about that too, folks. Uh, she's written a great book called Open This Book. I want to make sure that folks, everybody can see that, which is not only her story, but her guideline to storytelling for others. Uh, I'm just going to read off the book because I thought this is a great, well done. You must have written this, Sara, right?
A little bit.
A
Yeah.
little bit. Open This Book is your backstage pass to understanding why storytelling isn't just for the Shakespeares and the Spielbergs of the world. Yeah, they're pretty good at it. But what about the rest of us, right? Um, Sara is a storyteller, marketer, a brand architect. I like that. A lot of us in the marketing world would love to be brand architects, but I think this is real for you. With a knack for turning narratives into connections. And through her company, Favorite Daughter Media, she takes her passion and talent to help mission-driven brands amplify their impact. Mission-driven brands. We'll talk about that too. Sara, welcome to Storylines Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, likewise, it's great to have you. Um, Sara, we do have this concept, as I described a couple minutes ago, of the capital S story. So we always like to begin by asking our guests on Storylines Live where they are in their capital S story. Which one of those four questions I described, people buying from you, working for you, investing in you, or partnering with you, is most important to you and your journey where you are right now?
I think the partnering. I
Mhm.
really love collaboration and finding people to collaborate and partner with. And I think even when it comes to people that do want to work with me, I consider it partnership and a collaboration because I'm working with you to tell your own story and build your brand. So it's not something that I can do for you. It's something that we have to partner on and do
Oh, I
together.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
At our firm, Sarah, we say that storytelling is not something we do to you. It is something that we do with you. And
Hmm.
if you just pointed out, when your clients' stories are their stories. At the end of the day, and this is another thing we say at our firm too, at the end of the day, we are never going to know your story as well as you, the client, does, right?
Hmm.
We're here to help you with that, right? Trained professional storyteller. But it is their story at the end of the day. There's another aspect of partnering that I'm interested in your thoughts on, Sara. It's not transactional, is it?
It shouldn't be.
Right. It's not a one and done. Share a little bit more with our audience about that.
Yeah, I think people in the business world, there's always been a little bit of that dog eat dog mentality. And I'm really glad to see it shifting, at least in the industries that I've done a lot of work in, because it's now kind of a mentality of rising tides raise all ships. There
Hmm.
are enough clients to go around, and there are so many different aspects of the things that we do that I can meet a company that does exactly what I do, but they do it a little differently, or there's pieces that they do that I don't, or that I do and they don't. And it's so easy to just fill in the gaps for each other that we're not taking away from either person and having it be that ongoing relationship that just continues to build opportunities for me, for them, for the clients that come in. It's just everybody is going to win and you're going to get such a better product. I like bouncing ideas off of other people and being able to have that collaboration. It just brings the best ideas out of everybody and you get so much more quality content.
Boy, that is well said, Sara. Absolutely. Um, Beautiful. Now, in terms of your own experience, you are a trained marketer,
Yes.
and you spent quite a bit of time in the field. What's intriguing, of course, when we have to do this, folks, you really have to hear Sarah's story because Sarah has a very personal experience that really led her, a story, if you will, to what she does today. Have at it, Sarah.
We can't possibly be talking about my tattoo.
Yes, I am, Sarah. You are absolutely right. I am.
Yes, I am known for my really bad tattoo that has been covered up, so it's good now. But I was working in marketing in Baltimore. I was just unhappy, and I decided to go on a solo trip to Ireland. And this was just going to be a great experience, do something independent, see if I can just be alone in a new place by myself for a week and what's going to happen. Apparently, what was going to happen was I was going to end up in a tattoo shop, ask for an airplane, and walk out with a tattoo that looked far more like a penis than I had intended.
Ugh,
And that was on my body forever. But it has a happy ending, which I hate
yes.
saying in that context.
No.
But years later, I did get it covered. My parents never found out until an episode of a podcast came out about it. But years later, I was working in podcasting. I was pitching a client to be on it, one of the biggest finance podcasts there is, Stacking Benjamins. And he didn't want the expert I was trying to pitch. He just wanted someone with a cool story. And I couldn't tell the stories of the client because I didn't know them. All I knew were mine, and I didn't want the conversation to end there. I didn't want him to just walk away. So I just said, do you want to hear about the time I got a tattoo of a penis while I was in Ireland? And I accidentally got myself booked on one of the biggest platforms to tell a story of an accidental tattoo to a audience expecting stories about money. So it was a really interesting experience. And uh, Joe had the big challenge of turning this story into something valuable
Yes.
because it was just something I would tell at a bar when I was bartending, wanted to get a laugh out of someone sitting by themselves looking sad. And now suddenly I'm telling it to the world. And he managed to guide me through this story in a way that pulled out so much value. And there's a quote in my book by Ira Glass that
Yes.
says, great stories happen to those who can tell them. And that was the day that I learned how to tell a great story because he managed to guide me through it and bring out all these lessons of finding ways to be brave and changing my career and taking advantage of what I was good at, leaving behind the things that were holding me back. All of these different, just life changing events that happened, all leading from the bravery that I got out of this solo trip. And I can now look at this airplane now looks like an airplane tattoo
There you go.
and remember that experience and remember everything that it led to. And honestly, what it led to has changed my life.
There's just so much in there, Sarah. For obviously, it started as a funny story, and as you said, for quite a while, that's what it was, right?
Mhm.
Well, we all have our funny personal stories, and yours was, do you want to hear about the time that I got the tattoo that turned out to be something it wasn't supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
But that led you, as a trained marketer already, into a deeper exploration of the power of stories, right?
Hmm.
Share with our audience your thoughts on storytelling in general. Why is it so important in marketing?
Yeah, storytelling is everything. We are so inundated with marketing messages. There are 60 billion pieces of content put out onto the internet every day. We're just hit all the time with marketing. And it's not something that's going to connect. It's not something that is going to resonate. There's nothing personal about it. And we want personal. People don't
Yes.
buy products, they buy trust, they buy relationships, they buy connections. So when you incorporate your stories into your marketing messages, into your branding, into your company communications, you're inserting yourself into the lives of your audience and you're bringing them into your lives. And it's going to take you away from the logo and turn you into that person. And I think the stats right now are corporate trust is at about 27%, a very low number, because people don't trust companies because there is no soul in a company. It's the people. So when you can show yourself as the person, not as the company, you get past that step and you're able to build that trust, build those connections.
Absolutely. That very well said. And the way the I think stories are hardwired in our brains. There
Hmm.
are certain narratives. Uh, not too long ago, I saw the latest Deadpool movie.
No spoilers. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, I enjoyed it. Some people may not enjoy it, but I love Deadpool. And there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff in there about the Marvel comics universe or MCU. And uh, why do we have 40 movies in the Marvel comic universe? We're telling the same stories over and over again. And our take on that is that there are certain elemental stories that are baked into our brains.
Hmm.
And the work in our company, Sarah, what we're trying to do is help tease out the elemental story, the archetypal story, if you will, of our clients, and then align it with the specifics of the organization to help share that story. Your work, a lot of it is with thought leaders, correct?
Hmm. Yeah, I like to work one on one a little bit.
Yeah, so tell our audience a little bit about, what the difference there might be between an organizational story and working with a thought leader.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to approach it. When I work with a thought leader, it's really, I want to tell your story
Hmm.
and the story of how you got to this point, how you learned what you're talking about, not necessarily the information that you are putting out into the world and what you're is making you that thought leader, but how you discovered it and what impact it's had on your life and all those changes around it. Those are the stories that I want people to tell. And I want them to tell them because that's how you get attention. That's how you become memorable. That's how you become a brand. And that's how you stand out from all of these people on stages across the country giving out all this information and having their audience kind of snoring in their seats.
Yeah,
You have to make it enjoyable and memorable and personable. And when it comes to a company, it's different because a company is not a single person.
right.
A company is this just big accumulation of all of these different people and all of their different stories.
Mhm.
And I love that idea of kind of taking the most integral parts of these people at the top and turning that into one story of the company. I think that is so genius and so fascinating, but it does have more like different challenges
Yes.
because you have to make
Yeah.
sure everyone's stories are aligning with the brand values. Everything is coming together seamlessly. So I feel like I almost even took like the easy route because I just got to talk to one person, but it's definitely a different process and both are so needed.
Yeah, they're definitely complementary. And Sarah, you do a lot of work in finance, right?
Yeah, I have a background in working in finance marketing, so I have a little bit of a niche in that space.
Definitely. So I think that's an excellent example of a business it's really people driven, right?
Mhm.
When you're talking about financial advising or you are trusting a person, right? They may work at a company,
Mhm.
but you're trusting a human being to advise you and guide you on protecting your wealth or establishing wealth, creating wealth, or whatever your specific goal may be. And in that sense, it seems to me really important for the individual to be crystallizing their story and sharing it in a way that creates trust. What's been your experience with that?
Yeah, I think with finance, it's interesting because the finance piece of it, a computer can do it.
Yes.
A computer, especially in how much AI has moved forward, you don't need a financial advisor to run algorithms and tell you what your risk tolerance should be. That's any computer can do it. But what a computer can't do is look at the lives of two different people and see all of the different just uniquenesses and all of the different aspects that are impacting financial decisions differently and have that experience to say, okay, the machine might be telling you to do this, but don't forget you have a kid with special needs and we have to set up this so that they're protected. Like all
Yeah.
of these different pieces that you can't get from a robot. You just can't get from a computer. You need the person that's going to be in your corner, that's going to be giving you their experience and helping things make sense. And the way that those are going to make sense is through their stories. How have you helped other clients through this? How have you made
Exactly.
these decisions in your own life? Why are you passionate about this? Why is this the decision you would recommend? And because you can tell me all of the numbers and the percentages that are going on in my own portfolio, and I'm an accredited financial counselor, my eyes will still glaze over. But if you instead approach it as this is what my retirement's going to look like because I'm setting myself up early and I can plan all of this and be so excited about it, that's what's going to matter to me. It's not about what funds you're putting my money in. It's
Right.
about what that's going to do to my life. And you need that person there to really communicate that.
That is just such great insight, Sarah. I really appreciate you sharing that. Folks, we're going to dig into Sarah's work with her clients more specifically in a minute. We'll be right back after this message. Folks, thanks for joining us for this episode of Storylines Live. We are honored to have with us Sara Lohse, who is a master storyteller and runs a cool company called Favorite Daughter Media with a area of focus competency on working with thought leaders. But we got to start with this. Sarah, you have a great sense of humor and your creativity shows through in many ways. One of the ways that people would see that right away is the name of your company. Please tell our audience how your company came to be called Favorite Daughter Media.
That is a story my sister hates me telling. Most people assume I don't have a sister and that I'm just like, yeah, I'm the favorite because it's just me. No, I had never thought I was going to run a company. I thought I was going to be an employee forever because I don't want to do the technical side. I don't want to do the admin stuff. This is too much work. I'm not going to do it. But when I finally actually made that decision, I was like, well, now I have to name it. And I don't know how to name a company. I've never named a kid. I named a pit bull Kevin. I don't know how to name things. So I was just Googling how to name a company. And it gave me this whole list of ways. And it was text your friends for adjectives they'd use to describe you, which is a great ego boost, but did not help.
Right.
And what was your childhood nickname? Which my dad has called me Bub every day of my life since I was born.
Yeah, that doesn't sound.
Not, no, not a good company name. I kind of had to just throw all that advice aside and I was just thinking about like what feels like me. Because I'm not trying to create the next like Apple or Google. This isn't going
Mhm.
to be this giant corporation. This is just going to be me. It's my personal brand. It's who I am. How do I get that to translate? And when I think of like who I am at my core, everything I am is due to my dad. Both my parents, of course, but my relationship with my dad has always been my favorite relationship in my life. And he's given me the level of support that I've needed while still making sure that I don't kind of fly off the deep end because I can be very spontaneous, is the nice way to say it. Impulsive is probably the more accurate one. So it was not actually meant to be an insult to my sister, though, bonus points. It's really just paying homage to my dad, and it's named for him and that relationship. But it's memorable. It's a conversation starter.
It really is. Are you often asked, as I asked you, why is it called that?
I'm always asked that. I'm always asked, like, are you the only daughter?
Yeah, there you
Or
go. Yeah.
I have a business partner. I have a second company called Branded. That's a podcast production house. And
Yes.
he's age-wise, he is in the range that feasibly he could be my father.
Right.
And so everyone assumes like when I say I'm favorite daughter media, he's the dad I'm referring to. And
Oh, wow.
so, but there's a lot of fun that I've been able to have with it branding wise. If you look at my website, there's like love notes from happy parents instead of testimonials and
Yes.
my diary instead of my blog. So I've been able to really just have a lot of fun. And that was my goal. I left finance so I could have a little bit more fun.
There you go. I think that's wonderful. And I must say I enjoyed looking at your website too. And I think to be a good storyteller, and sometimes folks try and force the humor, but it's so refreshing. Uh, and that's why folks need storytellers to inject that relatable sensibility, that little chuckle here and there, or sometimes the laugh out loud. That's what I really enjoy, and I see that in what you're doing, Sarah. Now, you told us the story about the tattoo, which was foundational. Tell the audience why you decided to start your own company rather than work for somebody else.
It was a big decision that took a long time to come to, but I was working in finance, and finance is a very conservative, buttoned up kind of world. And everything is blues and greens and neutral toned khakis and polo shirts tucked in on casual Friday, and not me. And I loved the job, I loved the company, and I loved what I was doing, but I spent all of these years just trying to fit into the role that I thought I was supposed to be and make myself seem like this really polished professional in this industry surrounded by just like older white men. No
Yes.
offense.
No,
um,
none taken.
and one day it just got to be too much, and I missed being myself. So I launched my company as a way to just give myself permission to just be me again,
Right.
and uh, and approach it in a way that is just unapologetically authentic. And it has been one of the best decisions I've probably ever made. It's terrifying, and I spend way too much time like crying under my desk, but I still think it's a good decision.
Entrepreneurship has it can sometimes be a roller coaster ride, right?
It
You get
is for
incredible
sure.
highs and sometimes you're under your desk for sure.
For
Uh,
sure.
how do you help your clients? How would you describe the value that you provide to them?
Yeah, I mean, I've I do so many different things from like full service marketing to
Hmm.
just one-on-one coaching, but I think the place that I've just really have found the most passion for has been in the coaching aspect. And for people who want to be on podcasts or they want to be on
Right.
stages, they want to be thought leaders, but they don't really know either where to start or how to stand out. I work with them one on one, or even I've done this for groups of like 30. I actually just did that yesterday. But
Wow.
I work with them on figuring out what is your message, what is your story, how can you teach your concepts through stories instead of facts and figures, and really giving them those avenues to make connections.
Mm.
And I mean, marketing tells what stories sell. How do we use our stories to sell ourselves to an audience, to sell our products to our prospects? It's all about the story. But if you don't know how to tell a good story, it's never going to go anywhere. So some of it is just figuring out what your story is, and then some of it is how can you tell it in a way that's going to be compelling.
So true, so true. Out of all the things you do, Sarah, what gives you the most enjoyment?
Oh, I think when I see people finally get it.
Hmm.
So the thing that I hear the most when I say that you need to tell stories is I don't have one. I don't have a story. And what they're really saying is my story doesn't matter. My story is not important. And that's kind of why I've latched onto this tattoo story, because the tattoo isn't the story. The story is that I managed to take a stupid tattoo and turn it into this just avenue of change in my own life and turn it into the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So when I'm able to help someone realize that if my story can be valuable, my stupid little tattoo story
Right.
can have me speaking on stages across the country at 26 years old. I'm pretty sure we can find something in your
Yes.
life. Something may have happened that can be valuable. We just haven't looked at it the right way. We haven't looked at it on in the lens of a storyteller. We've only looked at it from the lens of someone just going through their life.
Wow. Really well said, Sarah. And I 100% agree with you. My first career was in journalism. And when I was in college for journalism and in the journalism 101 class, I had a professor John Lowry, if anybody in the class ever said that people don't have a story, he would send them out onto the quad and tell them to not come back until they'd
That
interviewed
they did.
somebody and gotten a story. And I think that's another way of getting at what you just shared, which is that we all
Mhm.
have stories, but we all also would benefit from working with someone who can help us bring those stories out. And that's exactly what you do. Sarah, how can people find you?
So I know you mentioned my book is Open This Book, The Art of Storytelling for Aspiring Thought Leaders. It is part book and part journal. So I did actually separate all of the journal entries that are all about helping you write out your story. And that is available for free on my website. So if you go to openthisjournal.com, you can download it. And while you are there, you can find all my email, social, phone number, everything's there.
OpenThisJournal.com.
Openthisjournal.com.
Excellent. Sarah, thank you so much for being a guest on Storylines Live. It's been awesome to have you with us for this episode. And folks, as always, thank you for joining us to come along for the ride on Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the power and the meaning of the most important story in business, the one that answers why someone would buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you. See you next time on our next episode.